evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Barbados Kingdom Governance Initiative. Special welcome to those who are joining us from the Caribbean and further afield. It is our hope that you are finding this program not only informative but inspiring. We hope it is making you think seriously about the urgent changes we need to make in our democracy and equipping you to be part of the change process. With that introduction, here is Dr. Tull to continue talking on the theme, Raising the Bar of Our Democracy.
Good evening and welcome. For those joining us for the first time, the basis of our ongoing discussion on this theme is that parliamentary representative democracy, as we now practice in Barbados and throughout most of the Caribbean, has major flaws or dysfunctions. In episode 1, we tried to meticulously unpack those flaws. However, for the last 2 episodes, we have been discussing solutions to these dysfunctions. The solutions are based on a 2-pronged change agenda, which I have outlined in previous episodes. One prong of that solution is system-wide changes, and the other is representative quality changes. Last week we examined the second system-wide solution, proportional representation. The week before we discussed power of recall. I suggest you review the episode on proportional representation. That is the episode from last week. Why? Because of all the changes discussed so far, proportional representation has the greatest potential to raise the bar on the functioning of our democracy by providing greater opportunity for the people to participate in government, tap into the wide range of talents that exist in our society, as well as prevent a 30-0 outcome at the polls again. Today in episode 4, we're going to focus on what the Constitutional Reform Commission, or CRC for short, is recommending with regard to how our representatives should be elected. It is not what we intended doing in this particular episode, but we think the matter is so urgent as to require immediate attention. If you listen to last week's episode, you will find the Commission's recommendation concerning. We have put a link to the website of the Constitutional Review Commission in the description box below. I urge you to pay attention to the recommendations of this commission, because at some point in the near future, their recommendations will become the new Constitution of Barbados. In addition to dealing with the political system, this reform document deals with your citizenship as well as your rights and freedoms, among other important issues. Well, let's get back to our main focus. In case you have forgotten, please be reminded that we currently use the first past the post, or FPTP system, to determine who will form the government. FPTP simply means that whichever party wins a majority of the 30 seats in the election forms the government. In contrast, a proportional representation system assigns seats to each party in proportion to the number of votes for the party. Here is an exhibit from last week's presentation to remind you of how such a system works. Now let's see what the CRC is recommending. Incredibly but not surprisingly, the CRC has recommended that Barbados keep the old FPTP system. Here is an excerpt from the pocket book, or the pocket version of the report. After all we have said about the FPTP and the proportional representation system, it is clear that this CRC wants to preserve the status quo, or the way things are in Barbados. The attempt to preserve the status quo becomes even clearer when you read the section dealing with appointments to the Senate which we will deal with in our next episode under the heading of checks and balances. What we are really dealing with then is the old guard in Barbados, the people who do not want any changes in their access to power in this country. The fact that you have heard nothing about this from the current official opposition tells you all you need to know, namely that the current two-party system is seeking to perpetuate itself. That means that young people who have something meaningful to contribute to a political life in Barbados, and who in addition wish to distance themselves from the malfeasances of the two so-called established parties, will find little scope to make such a contribution other than by joining one of these two parties. In the final analysis, what the CRC recommendation alarmingly implies is that for the foreseeable future, unless we abort this recommendation, we can expect the possibility of more 30-0 election outcomes. The question then is, what should our response be to this development? Now, as for me, I literally jumped, as we say in Barbados, when I first read this recommendation. I was at least looking for some statement that left the question of change of electoral system to some future consultation or process. But that is not the case. Those who understand the difference between the two systems of determining who runs the government and who would prefer the proportional representation system now need to strategize on how to bring this to reality. The first order of business, it would seem to me, is to ask the Commission to produce the data on which the recommendation was determined. Was a poll or survey conducted? If so, what options other than first past the post were placed before those surveyed? Were or are Barbadians sufficiently educated about the difference between the two systems, especially about proportional representation? There are quite a few questions we need to ask and have answered here. It seems to me that a large part of strategizing will fall into the lap of aspiring third parties. If you understand what we discussed about proportional representation, you will understand that third parties stand to benefit most from the introduction of proportional representation. In fact, any third party worth considering in the upcoming election should treat the matter of changing to a proportional representation system as a critical issue in the next election and adopt it as part of its election manifesto. Now, people fear things they do not understand. So with immediate effect, that is right now, not when the election is called, any third party that wants what we call in marketing a share of the mind of the electorate should be busy educating the public about the issue of proportional representation and preparing the public to vote in their favor on this matter. But what do you think? Is it a lost cause? Tell us in the comment section below. If you think this video was useful, please do like it and share it on your social media pages. Next week, as I suggested earlier, we're going to take a look at additional system-wide issues that need to be addressed. We will talk about those under the heading of checks and balances. One of the issues we will tackle is the role of the Senate. And as I promised, we will look at what the Constitutional Reform Commission is proposing for this institution of government. Until then, have a safe and productive week, and see you next Sunday. Thanks for viewing.
We invite you to subscribe to the channel now to receive a reminder message for the Sunday broadcast or notification for any other videos, which may be uploaded from time to time. Thank you for viewing.